the two transistor model of SCR. It is also called as two transistor analogy, that how an SCR can be represented as two transistors. That is, the working of SCR can be defined in terms of how the two transistors can work. In simple words, two transistor behavior when they are connected to each other is equivalent to the working of the SCR. Hence, it is said that the two transistor analogy model of SCR. Now we will discuss in detail. The operation of an SCR is very well explained in a very simple way by considering it in terms of two transistors. So if we look at this construction diagram of SCR, it has four layers PN, PN. It has three junctions, junction J1, J2 and J3. Now we will try to divide this constructional diagram of SCR in terms of two transistors. So I will first divide this between sandwich layers N type and P type, as I have divided into two parts, and again I will divide it into two parts. So here it is PNP transistor, and I look at this side, this is NPN transistors. So two transistors, PNP transistor and NPN transistors. Now these two transistors will form a regenerative feedback, and hence the SCR is acting as a switch. So this is known as the two transistor analogy of SCR, means the representation of SCR in the terms of two transistors is known as the two transistor analogy of SCR. The SCR can be considered as an NPN and a PNP transistor, where the collector of one transistor is attached to the base of the other and vice versa, as we will see in this figure. So we have divided the SCR into two transistors, PNP transistor and NPN transistor. Here let us consider this as transistor T1 and this as transistor T2. So the base of transistor T1 is now connected to the collector of transistor T2. The collector of transistor T1 is connected to the base of transistor T2. This base terminal is now acting as a gate terminal for SCR. Emitter terminal of transistor T1 is acting as anode for SCR. Emitter terminal of transistor T2 is acting as cathode of SCR. So we have three terminals: anode, cathode and gate. So in this diagram, as we can see, this P type material, this is emitter, PNP transistor. In this PNP transistor, this P type is emitter. Now it is representing the anode. This P type is collector. It is representing as gate. Now this gate, that is collector, it is forming the base. Means it is connected to the base of transistor T2, P type. So transistor T2 is NPN. Here N is emitter. And so on is the connection is made. So we will once again look the terminals, how they are configured. Transistor T1, anode means the emitter of transistor T1. Collector of transistor T1 is gate. In transistor T2, The emitter terminal is the cathode and the collector terminal is the connected to the base of transistor T1, and gate terminal, that is collector of T1, connected to base of T2. Now we will apply some mathematical operations, mathematical equations, and we try to represent the two transistor analogy for SCR. This model is obtained by splitting the middle layers of the SCR into two separate parts, as I have shown you previously. This is the constructional diagram. Now I am splitting the middle layers, two middle layers of the SCR, and now I have split it into two transistors. This is P and P, and this will be N P N. Also, now I will bifurcate the ratings, current equations for the each transistors. So from this figure, it is observed that the collector current of transistor T1, this is the collector current, becomes the base current of transistor T2 and vice versa. Once again I will repeat. So in this diagram, collector current of this transistor T1, so this is a collector current, is becoming the base current of transistor T2 and vice versa. In this circuit diagram we can see the collector current, this IC1, is becoming the base current of this transistor T2. Let us zoom it out. Here the collector current, this is of transistor T1, is becoming the base current of transistor T2. Hence, collector current IC1 is equals to base current 2, and base current of 1, this is base current of 1, becoming the collector current of transistor 2. Now we have the relationship from the transistor analysis that the cathode current, means the emitter, is equals to, the cathode current is equals to the anode current plus gate current. Means this current, cathode current, this cathode means here it is emitter. This is equals to anode current plus gate current, because you can see that this is coming from this, both are coming to this point. So this is the addition, and finally we are getting, in simple words, emitter current is equals to base current and collector current. Hence here it is written cathode current, which is acting as emitter, this is through the emitter to collector, and this is base. Also, the base current of transistor T1, means this, is equals to emitter current of transistor T1 minus the collector current of transistor T1. So using these equations it is very simple. So this equation IK is equals to IA plus IG, means cathode current is equals to anode current plus gate current. It is just similar to emitter current is equals to collector current plus base current. Here base is gate and the collector is getting from this anode. Okay. So if I take out base current, then base current is equals to emitter current minus collector current. So here with respect to transistor T1, the base current 1 of transistor T1 is equals to emitter current minus collector current. So these two equations are synonyms to these two equations. So this is the general equation for any transistor, that is emitter current is equals to collector current plus base current. So if I want base current, then base current is equals to emitter current minus the collector current. So these are equivalent representation of these equations. Now collector current 1 is equals to alpha 1 into emitter current 1 plus ICO1. So as per the definition of current gain is given by output current to the input current. So here alpha is the current gain for transistor T1. Okay. So here alpha is the current gain. It is equals to output current upon input current. Output current is the collector current. Emitter current is the input current plus some leakage current. So here leakage current is represented by ICO1. So if you simplify this equation, it will come to this. IC equals to alpha IE plus ICO1. So this is a leakage current. So the collector current is equals to alpha IE plus ICO. So ICO is the reverse leakage current of the reverse bias junction J2 when the outer layers are not present. Substituting these equations into the previous equation, we will get IB1 is equals to IE1 minus alpha IE1 minus ICO. So we have substituted these values into the previous equations. Let me show you which. So this was the previous equations where we have replaced the values of this current gain values. Means in this equation, I have replaced this value. Solving it, I get this. So I will take some common parameters. So IB1 is equals to 1 minus alpha 1 bracket IE1 minus ICO1. This is as it is. I have taken the IE1 common. So I have got 1 minus alpha 1. So from this diagram, it is clear that anode current of device 1 becomes the emitter current of other device. That is IA is now equals to emitter current of transistor 1 from this diagram. So this is emitter terminal. Now it is anode terminal. Now we will replace that IE1 by IA in the previous equation. So IB1 is equals to 1 minus alpha 1 in brackets IA minus ICO1. Also IC2, this collector current of transistor 2 is equals to alpha 2, this is again the current gain as we have seen previously, into IE2 plus the leakage current of the transistor T2. So from this equation it is observed that the cathode current of SCR becomes the emitter current of the transistor T2. So this is emitter terminal again. Now it is the cathode current. Okay, so I have written IK means the cathode current is equals to the emitter current of the transistor T2. Now I have replaced the emitter current with IK. So IC2 is equals to alpha 2 IK plus leakage current of transistor 2. But IB1 now equals to IC2 means base current of transistor 1 is equals to the collector current of transistor 2. Here we can see it is interconnected. Base and collector are interconnected. So both the currents will be equal. So substituting all these values, we get 1 minus alpha 1 IA minus ICO1 is equals to alpha 2 IK plus ICO2. Solving it further, we get 1 minus alpha 1 IA minus ICO1 is equals to alpha 2 bracket IA plus IG plus ICO2. So this is ICO1 as it is, ICO1 as it is, ICO2 as it is, here also as it is, alpha 2, alpha 2. So we have replaced the value of IK from the previous equation. Solving it again, taking anode current common, so we get 1 minus alpha 1 minus alpha 2 IA. This is equals to alpha 2 IG. I have multiplied this. So alpha 2 IA plus alpha 2 IG ICO2, and I have taken this ICO1 on my right hand side. So it's a simple mathematical calculation. I have opened the bracket, I have solved it, and this is the equation. Again I have solved it. 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2 whole bracket IA is equals to alpha 2 IG plus ICO1 plus ICO2. I have written in the sequence. Solving it further, I get IA. I have taken this IA common. Okay, alpha 2 IG plus ICO1 plus ICO2. This thing as it is and divided by this. So this is the foundation equation, and from this equation we are in a position to explain how this regenerative feedback is formed. So this turn on condition, that is when alpha plus alpha 2 is greater than 1, means in this equation if alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is greater than 1, the SCR can be satisfied in the following ways. If the temperature of device is very high, the leakage current through it increases, which may then satisfy the required condition to turn it on. Means increase in the temperature increases the leakage current and it may turn on the SCR. So when the current through the device is extremely small, the alphas, that is the current gain, will be very small, and the condition for breakover can be satisfied only by the large values of hole multiplication factor, that is M of P, and electron multiplication factor M of N. So unless and until there is a large multiplication factor of the electrons and holes, there will be not increase in the current, and if current is not increasing, the device will not turn on. So near the breakdown voltage of junction J2, the multiplication factors are very high, and the required condition for breakover can be obtained by increasing the voltage across the device. So by increasing the voltage across the device to a value of forward breakover voltage, which will be closer to the breakdown voltage of junction J2, the device will get turned on. So to turn on the device, the value of voltage applied across anode to cathode terminal must be greater than the value of VBO, that is forward breakover voltage. Third condition is that, so if we increase the value of this current gain alpha 1 and alpha 2, then also the SCR can be turned on. So in this figure, if current, that is a gate current, is injected into the base, so this gate current is injected into base in the same direction as the current IA across the junction J2, the current gain of the transistor, that is this NPN transistor, will now be increased independently of the anode to cathode voltage VA and the current IA, because the value of alpha 2 means the current gain of the transistor 2 depends on the anode current and the gate current. But the current gain of transistor T1, that is alpha 1, is still depending upon the anode current, means the emitter current. So the things are very simple. We have to inject the additional value of the gate current, means we have to apply additional signal at this gate terminal so that the junction J2 will get the forward biased, and this additional voltage, additional signal will lead to the turning on of the SCR. The total current gain will now depend on the value of gate current, and independent means of breakover is obtained. Hence, simply by increasing the value of gate current, we can decrease the forward bias breakover voltage for the SCR. Means voltage less than forward breakover voltage of the SCR, by applying the gate supply, we can turn on the SCR. So it is not necessary to excessively increase the voltage across the anode to cathode terminal of SCR at somewhere near to forward breakover voltage. There is no need to increase to that much of voltage. Simply give the gate signal, apply a forward bias voltage across anode and gate. The forward bias voltage will be less than, obviously less than the breakover voltage. Apply the gate signal and the SCR will latch into the on condition, and it will remain on although if we remove the gate pulse. Because of this equation, it is just a regenerative feedback action. The presence of gate current modifies the static characteristics, as we have earlier seen in the VI characteristics. I will show you again. So in this diagram, as we can see, the presence of this gate current IG1, IG0, IG1, 2, 3 and so on and so forth has modified the static characteristics of the SCR. To show you what is the effect when there is no SCR, I will draw it again, some different color I'll use. So if I don't apply a gate current, the current will flow like this. So this is a normal condition. It is working as a diode. Now as soon as I have applied the voltage approximately equal to forward breakover voltage, the gate current, without applying any gate current, the forward anode current will flow like this. Means this is the voltage drop across the SCR has drastically reduced. From high impedance, it is towards the low impedance. When, what is the condition? The condition is the forward bias voltage is equals to the breakover voltage. Now I will take some another color and show you. As soon as I have applied the gate pulse, so less of voltage forward bias is required to turn on. Again, I will increase the gate pulse, then again less of breakover voltage is required. So this forward bias voltage is reducing as we are applying the gate voltage or gate signal. So this is how the characteristics are modified.